Welcome to the Cannon Sports Podcast. I am your host, Ryan, and joining me today live from Oak Park High School, we have got head football coach Casey Webb. Coach, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
All right, so Coach, head coach at Oak Park High School, former JV coach, worked your way up, and in a undergraduate assistant in San Diego State. Did I get all that right?
That is correct.
Head coach at Oak Park since 2016?
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's start at the start, Coach. Where are you from?
So I'm born and raised my whole life as far as in the school system, Oak Park High School, but I grew up in Woodland Hills and kind of just back and forth, Oak Park, the Valley, so I am from Oak Park, but my heart's also in the Valley.
All right. And high school, so you went to Oak Park. You are an alum.
I did go to Oak Park. I've been here my whole life, moved away for 2 years when I went to San Diego off to school, and there's no place in the world I'd rather be than Oak Park.
Awesome. Well, I think that's something you want out of your coach.
Yeah.
So Oak Park alum, played football and basketball, is that correct?
Yeah, I played football and basketball. I played football only 3 years, and then I played basketball all 4 years. Basketball is my first love, and I kind of just fell into football. My friends were playing. I played a little bit of youth football in Chatsworth growing up, and but kind of growing up, everybody played all the sports. So I just kind of decided to come out for football and fell in love with it.
Yeah. Now I think we're right around the same age. I graduated high school 05. I went to Damien High School. Go Spartans out in Laverne. And you just touched on it, but like when I was growing up, I played everything. Basketball, baseball, football, soccer, you name it, swim lessons, like everything. Is it just me, or are kids getting more specialized at a younger age nowadays?
They for sure are getting way more specialized than kind of breaks my heart because some of my fondest memories were playing basketball, and, I push every kid here to play all the sports, and I don't want them to ever just focus on a sport because I think everything has, some certain – it'll help everything. I think football is going to help in your – aggression in basketball. I think basketball, the explosiveness in that sport and kind of the knee stability and making your muscles and joints stronger is going to help for football. Baseball, I think they all help each other. So I just think the more sports you play, it's better for you and it's better for the school.
Yeah, and even as a kid, like it's just fun, man. Like I met some of my best friends still to this day playing sports growing up. It's got to be interesting now as a coach, having played, seeing kind of the changes in youth sports now from this side of the table,
Yeah. All my friends still to this day, I tell these kids all the time, the best man at my wedding was the starting right guard. The left guard was in my wedding. Quarterback was in my wedding. So all those people, I grew up playing sports with are still my best friends to this day.
Yeah. Now you said basketball was your first love. What was your position?
So I actually played everything. I wasn't big enough to be a center, but I was mentally strong enough to be a center. I was a true kind of a three-man where I played the left side of the floor because I'm a lefty. And so I was really more of a three, but I played like a center. My stat line was like, 8 points, 7 rebounds, 5 fouls, 2 steals, a block. So I kind of was like all over the place. I wasn't like a dominant player, but I was just somebody who knew my role and, excelled at that.
Yeah, and you got to love a role player. I mean, everyone. Now, basketball, first love, when did you get into football?
So for coaching-wise, I really got into football my sophomore year at college. Our JV's team needed a coach, and I was kind of pretty close with that guy. I was a student teacher in his class, so he kind of had me in mind, and I was actually coaching a travel basketball team at the time. And I'm like, you know what? I might as well just do it. I'm at college. And
we got the phone going off. It's all good.
It never ends when you're a head coach. And so I decided, you know what? I could use a little extra money. It wasn't much because football coaches don't get paid much. And the second I started doing it, it was really hard being so young. I was only 18 coaching, 14, 15-year-olds. But I just kind of fell in love with the process of working with young kids and trying to be an important role in their life.
That's awesome. Now, you told me a story when we were talking about setting this podcast up that when you were a junior, you were one of the top-ranked Madden players in the world. Is this correct?
Yeah, so that's also another way that sparked my interest. So my junior year, what we did every game was you'd always have film on Saturday, and after film, we'd lift weights, and then we'd go to our buddy Rye's house, and that's where everybody brought their PlayStations. We'd have a fantasy draft with Madden. We'd load all our memory cards into all this stuff, and we'd play. Well, in like October, the Madden Challenge, it was the first ever year the Madden Challenge came out. So at the Glendale Galleria, they had, 800 plus people playing in it, and all professional, a lot of professional players there that I ended up eventually, getting close with. But in the Final Four, it was me and Rye, my best friend, playing in the Final Four. And I beat him. I won that tournament, and there was 10 cities, so I won the LA city. Ended up getting an all-expenses-paid trip to Jamaica to play in the National Madden Tournament. Got to play with, like, Ray Lewis, Joey Harrington, all these, celebrities. Lance Bass was there from NSYNC.
Of course.
And ended up, after that trip, I ended up playing competitively, made some good money playing it, traveled, to Florida and different parts of the United States, and it was really probably one of the coolest things ever. But, to tie it back into coaching, that's kind of where I started thinking about football bigger than just football. I was thinking of game planning and scheming, and, I'd be playing some of the top players in the world, and they'd be blowing people out by 60, 70, and here I am sticking with them because I always knew how to just game plan and have a plan going into a game and execute it.
And that is where kind of the seed was planted that maybe coaching was in your future.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Now graduated from Oak Park High School, and then I have down that you went to San Diego State and you were an undergraduate assistant at San Diego State.
Yeah. So my second year of coaching football at Oak Park, I got promoted to the varsity receivers, and one of our kids was getting heavily recruited by San Diego State, and he eventually signed with them. And Jonathan Heimbach was their O-line coach recruiting coordinator in our area. And I went up to him. I said, hey, I'm going to be transferring to San Diego State. I just want to get involved however I can. I love football. I want to continue coaching. So I went down there, and I interviewed with their offense coordinator, a guy named Del Miller, who was at Kansas State. He's Iowa, all these different places. And he liked me. And, I really didn't have a giant role. I wish I could say I did a lot of stuff, but I got to sit in quarterback meetings. I got to help warm up the quarterbacks and do all that stuff. And the quarterback at the time was Kevin O'Connell, who is now the Rams offensive coordinator. So that's kind of cool. And so I helped out, did everything I can, listened in meetings, got playbooks, got to learn everything I could. And I really thought I wanted to be a college coach. And then I saw how much time those guys truly put in. I mean, we're talking 14, 16-hour days, and their kids are just – the only time they got to see them was at practice. Yeah. And so I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do this. And I transferred back to CSUN, and right away I got back into Oak Park coaching.
Yeah. Now you touched on it a little bit there, but up to that point, up to going to San Diego State, you had been a player at Oak Park and then a coach at Oak Park. What were some of the differences besides the time commitment in the coaching that you saw between the high school and then the college game?
I think the structure and the organization. I wish I could say Oak Park was this giant school like modern-day Oaks Christian. It's a small school that faces small problems. So I go to San Diego State, and you see just this big school, 100-plus kids, the organization, the meetings, and how much time is truly committed to this. I mean, these guys are – the athletes themselves are putting in 6 to 8 hours a day on top of school. So I thought it was really cool to just see how much work is put into running a program and what the day-to-day stuff is. I really like that stuff. That, I think that's a big part of being a head coach now is the day-to-day stuff. 20% of my role is coaching, and the 80% is dealing with the other stuff. And I enjoy that stuff, and I think I started enjoying that, seeing it at San Diego State.
Very cool. Very cool. Now heading back to Oak Park. Now, 2009, you became the junior varsity offensive coordinator at Oak Park. Yeah. Now, what did that role entail as far as the offensive coordinator? How did you see yourself in that role?
Well, when you get there, I'm 22, 23, and I think I'm literally the greatest thing in the world. I got this pedigree. I'm coming back from San Diego State working with the offense. I got I'm kind of known still as that Madden kid that everybody knows. I got the creative plays. And so I kind of was humbled pretty quick when, we weren't having as much success as I thought. So, I was still going to college, finishing up at CSUN at the time, so I had a lot of time to prep, and I still wasn't where I probably should have been as a coach, but I thought it was a great year for me, to that 2009, because I had such a special group of kids. And it's probably one of the first groups I got really close with. One of my players just got two of my players just actually got engaged, and one had a kid, so that's cool. But I thought I was bigger than what I was, and I got humbled real quick, which I thought is important for a young coach, because I think it happens with a lot of young coaches. You think, you're this great guy coming out of college, and it's super easy to coach, and it's, it becomes really humbling, and it can go either way. I could keep that ego, or I could get brought back to reality. And so I thought the coaches I had helped me, get brought back down to reality.
Yeah. Now, working with the junior varsity, as opposed to the varsity, as opposed to San Diego State, what are some of the fundamentals or some of the things at that level that you got adept at teaching, or that you saw as being important to translate onto the field for that age of a kid?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I haven't really coached JV in a long time, and you remember that the fundamentals are the backbone of that program. I get spoiled with the kids that come to varsity right now. They already know how to do everything. So really, when you work with the JV kids, it's just about teaching just the really little things. I was also the receivers coach and the offensive coordinator. So really it's just breaking down just how to run routes, how to set guys up, how to, think one play ahead or one route ahead, and just even the fundamentals of catching the ball, holding up the triangle with your hands and the placement of your hands to catch a ball that's high or low. It's some things that you actually take for granted when you get to be a varsity coach, that you realize that, I don't have to spend a lot of time doing these things, which you have to do at the JV level.
Yeah. Now, at what point did you move up to the varsity level here at Oak Park?
So I spent 2 more years as the JV OC, so like 09 and 10, and then there was an opening, and I got the job, and again, we're going to talk about another humbling experience. I'm like, spent 2 years at JV. I'm ready. Yeah. I am the guy. My long-term plan was to be the head coach. I'm like, this is my time to prove what I can. Well, those first 4 games, I think we scored 7 points total.
Yeah.
And so then I started questioning myself, what am I doing? Am I doing this right? Am I even meant to be a football coach? And luckily we kind of rebounded a little bit and had some success. But I spent a year, I've had an interesting path here. I spent a year as the OC, and we did really well. And then I got fired, and they decided they wanted to go back to I was more of a spread guy, and they wanted to go back to our roots here, which was the triple option. So they brought back the old head coach to run the triple option. And I was kind of helping out a little bit. I was like in and out of helping because, I wasn't real happy with my situation here. And then that didn't really work out. And then in 2013, I met with the coach again. I said, look, I'm ready again. Give me another shot. He gave myself and another guy named Mike Popolo, who's actually still my offensive line coach right now, a shot. And we had a team in 2013 that went 11-1. We set every single offensive record at Oak Park, everything. It was absolutely incredible the year we had, and I think having that year gave me the confidence to kind of continue with my plan of football.
Yeah. Now going to some initial adversity, not having much success, to then, was it a year, 2 years off?
Yeah, it was 1 year off.
1 year off, and then coming back and having this amazing 11-1 season. What was it about that year away from the game what was it that you thought you learned, or what was it that you thought made you ready then to go out and have this amazing season?
I think it remotivates you. My whole life really had been in Oak Park, running what Oak Park had done and doing that. Well, I spent a lot of time in that year kind of researching other offensive styles, researching other coaches, just breaking down a lot of film from NFL, college, high school. And so I kind of was able to reinvent my identity and reinvent how I taught football and reinvent how I coach. And I think that was kind of the big thing. And when we came back that next year, when we had that great team, I mean, you have to give credit where it's due. We had an absolutely incredible group of players that had been brought up for 4 years. So it was kind of just a perfect storm of a lot of things. And it was a great year.
Yeah, amazing. Now, I mean, I think anyone listening to this, I obviously can hear it. Oak Park definitely means something special to you. I mean, in that year where, from the sound of it, you could have gone anywhere else. You could have done anything else. What was it about this place that really you wanted to be here?
Well, it's home to me, and I think loyalty is a really, that's when people ask me what the most important word to me is. I think loyalty is the most important word because it's kind of something that gets lost nowadays. You get guys, players transferring everywhere, coaches going to different places everywhere. To me, I just thought it was always important to show loyalty to where you come from and loyalty to the people that have always had your back. And I've always had people that have had my back here, even if it hasn't always worked out. That following year after 2013, the head coach left. I applied for the job. I didn't get the job. Wasn't even in the final round of it. And, still though, it never crossed my mind that I wanted to leave. If my path took me somewhere else, I would. Fortunately, the guy they hired, I absolutely loved him. I stayed. And, everybody kept telling me though, hey, it's not your time yet. Your time's going to come. It's just not yet. And to me though, I loved hearing no. You know, being told no, it's not bad. You know, it just means that I got to prove more. So I've always wanted to, I like being told no because it just means I got a chip on my shoulder and I got to prove it to other people. And eventually, you know, with every time I've been told no, whether it's not getting a teaching job or a coaching job, it's always worked out because I've kept at it. I've worked hard. I've waited my time. I've been patient, and it pays off.
Now that perseverance, that patience, that lack of fear in the face of adversity, is that something that you think you are able to transfer over to your kids? And if so, how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, I like that because, you know, Oak Park kind of has always had that kind of draw as far as who we play to. We've always kind of been the underdog. We've always been in a league with great teams. You know, dating back to early 2000s, we had St. Bonaventure, who I think they won 4 CIF titles in a row. And then they finally got out of our league, and in comes Oaks Christian that became this national powerhouse. Yeah. You know, we made 3 CIF titles in 4 years, and every time we had to play Oaks, and we lost. And then finally Oaks got out, and then Calabasas came in with the Casey Clausen era. We get Calabasas out. In comes Simi Valley with the Jim Bankert era, and now they're exploding. So we've always had that underdog mentality, and I think it's great. You know, why not? Why would you not want to be the underdog, you know? So I love that about Oak Park. And, you know, we also have always just had great talent too. So, yeah, we're the underdogs. We have the underdog mentality, but we can't forget that we still have some great football players here. We have great coaches that coach them up. And I think, you know, our record has proved, you know, for ourselves how good we can be. Absolutely.
Now I have down that you took over the program. You did finally get that head coaching job in 2016.
Yeah.
What did that mean to you to not only, you know, have kind of fulfilled this passion of yours of being a head coach, but to do it here at Oak Park?
Yeah, well, so there was a guy, Tim Kinney, who was before me, and he was kind of my age too, and he got the job that year when I applied for it as well, and he was so much more deserving than me. And I learned from him, and I was his right-hand man for everything. I was in his wedding. You know, we got really close. And then all of a sudden, one day he gets up in summer conditioning. So we're getting close to the season. Says, hey, guys, I'm taking a job up north to Rockland. His fiance and him, the cost of living down here was too much, and they moved up north close to family. And so I got the job, you know, just by being here, but it was an interim job. I was intern. Never can have it easy here, but I love that though. And we got off to a great start my first year. I think we were 5-1, you know, and kind of that 6th game, they said, hey, do you want the job? We're gonna, you know, remove that tag, and it's like getting a monkey off your back. You know, I think Steve Young, when he won that Super Bowl he's like, get the monkey off. You know, that's what it felt like to me, just because of, you know, where I started here. I mean, I've been here my whole life, since kindergarten, going to school down the street at Brookside, to now being the head football coach, and I have just so many years of service here, and it was such a relief. And, you know, I just feel so proud being here. We're getting the alumni back involved, and I couldn't have asked for just a better 2016. I got married during the day after one of the games, so it was just such a fun first year for me, and, you know, it was awesome.
Yeah. Now, if you had to try to articulate it, what would you say your coaching style is?
I would say I'm a player's coach. You know, we're in a new age where, you know, you really it's a day and age where there's so much for these kids to do every day. There's video games, there's social media, there's this. So I think part of my job is just, how do we grasp these kids from Oak Park and get them out for football? And once we get them out, how do we make it fun? Yeah. You know, I think that's such an important part, is in this day-to-day competition where winning is so important, how do we make it fun even if there isn't wins and losses, you know? So I would say I'm a player's coach where I'm always there for them. I can have fun with them, but then we be serious when we need to be serious. You know, I have great roles with our coaches where we play kind of a good cop, bad cop, and so we do that. But I would say I'm a player's coach. I'm kind of you know, my style is more finesse than kind of drill sergeant-y. You know, I'm an offensive guy, so, you know, I like to score points, and I want that fun mentality of scoring points to rub off on the kids, because when they're having fun, I think, you know, that's the way this game should be played.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned earlier that you're a teacher as well. What do you teach?
So I'm a PE teacher. I teach 5 middle school PE classes, and then I also teach a football class in the morning. So I go from the high school to the middle school, and then I come back. And my wife's also a teacher in the district. My brother-in-law works in the district, so it's kind of a big we have a big family thing going on in Oak Park.
Yeah, and just for the record, both my parents were teachers, and my girlfriend is a union organizer with a teachers union here in California. So we got teachers all around.
It couldn't be a better job. I love the schedule. Summer's off, even though I really don't get them off with football. But I love the being done at 3. I don't like sitting behind a desk all day, and I think there really is a correlation to teaching PE and being happy. I'm in the sun all day, having fun with kids. So what could be better?
Yeah. Now, as a teacher, which I think more and more, there are coaches even at the high school level that aren't teachers. They're primarily coaches. What do you think being a teacher brings to your coaching?
Well, I think it deals with a lot of things. I think all day I'm working with large group, numbers of kids trying to do, so I think it really helps in terms of your management of a program. I think being over at the middle school too, for me, it's kind of a nice little, I get to build relationships, which with the 8th grade kids and get them over, which is really important in a day and age where you're trying to keep all your kids in Oak Park. So I think just being a teacher, you understand how to build relationships with kids 24/7, and once you build those relationships, and especially the foundation of trust, you build such a great program and culture once you have that trust built from player to coach and coach to player.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as both a teacher and a coach, in a lot of ways, I mean, these kids are spending so much time with you. You're almost like a third parent in a way. What are some of the lessons through football, through teaching that you're hoping to get across to these kids?
Well, what a great point you make. I'm with these kids so much, sorry to keep giving some backstories. I didn't grow up with a dad, and so I kind of always wanted to play sports and latch on to those, kind of the father figures. Some of my greatest role models, were my coaches, which kind of also sparked me to get into that. And I think that, if there's anything I do, I don't want it to be by wins and losses, but I want it to be by these experiences shared with them. So I want to give them, 100%. And I hope these kids get out of it what they see I put into it, and that's 100%. I got a wife and 2 young kids at home that during football season, I don't get to see a lot of them. And these kids know that, but they know that I'm enjoying, every time I'm here, every second I'm here having fun. And so I think, they see that, and that builds that relationships with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, at any school, 99% of your kids are not going to go on to the next level with sports. But what is it that you think they can take from organized sports and from football in particular with them for the rest of their lives? What did you take from it?
Well, I think it's the commitment, and it's the real world application of football into the real world. Talking about your job or your career or whatever it is, it's a commitment, whether it's, wanting to take a day off or this or, it's about all that work you've put in. And I think there's a reason why, there's such a big connection when you get to college and you play sports and people want to hire former athletes because they understand the commitment. They understand, that win at all cost mentality. They understand what it's like to be a part of a team. So I hope that when these kids move on, they understand that the stuff we're teaching them now isn't really about football. It's about what they're going to do in their future.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, at this level, at any level really, but for you, how do you measure success?
Sounds so cheesy because everybody does it, but I find a measure of success about what these kids are doing in 5 to 10 years. I measure it by how much, they come back, how much we keep in contact, what they text me. If they tell me, like I just said, a couple of players just told me they were getting engaged and then they proposed and sent me pictures and all that. So that stuff really does mean probably the most to me. The wins and losses are always going to be there, but the kids aren't, and so that's why it's so important to, and I think so that's one of the great things about social media is I get to keep in touch with all the kids. And, we've started an Alumni Foundation here because, it's easy to walk the walk and say you care about the kids, but talk the talk and keep reaching out to them. We every once in a while we'll get together as coaches in the off season and, we'll talk, we have, all these kids' numbers saved in our phone over the years. And we randomly will text kids, just say, hey, just want to let you know I'm thinking of you. And then, they come back and they write their stuff about all their memories they've had and all the great times they've had with football. So, I measure it just by how well we keep connected with our former players.
Yeah, and I mean, it's amazing 2016 now. You are, that's probably your first crop of seniors is getting into that 4 or 5 years out phase, and it's only going to keep going. And I mean, I think that's a great mentality of keeping in touch and having them come back. 'Cause high school is such a formidable time, and I think if most of us are lucky, it will be something that we look back on fondly and want to come back and contribute to.
Yeah, and I had such a good experience with all my friends in high school that I want them to be able to have that same experience as well. All those same incredible nights playing football or whatever the dances were. And so, that's why I give it as much as I do.
Absolutely. Now, we've just got one more, and this is something that I've liked to start to kind of finish on. Between the Chatsworth Chiefs, Oak Park, San Diego State, back to Oak Park, JV, offensive coordinator, now head coach, football, basketball, what has sports done for you in your life?
Oh, my God. I could almost like tear up thinking of what sports is. I mean, it's done everything for me. I mean, when I think about my life in terms of just sports, what it's done for me, it's opened up every door. I met my wife at a sports bar. So, sports in general has just built me into the man I am today. And even it's the coaches that built me into what I am too. So, just sports is life, and it's just, I can't even put into words how much I love coaching and how much I love being around, the high school kids or even the middle school kids and working with them in sports because, I hope that, like I said, years down the line, I hope that they remember how much I've given to them, and then they'll want to in return give that back to somebody, young as well too. So sports has been everything, man. I just love it. I still play basketball. If I could get a group together, I'd still play in the flag football leagues, even though I think mentally I can do it, physically I can't. But I just love it every second of every day. That's besides my wife and kids, I'm thinking about sports.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you and me both, brother. Before we get out of here, thanks so much for doing this.
I appreciate it.
Oak Park Eagles, man. Congratulations on your amazing coach. Good luck with the rest of your season. Is there anything else you want to add?
For whoever's listening, come check Oak Park out, man. It's one of the most hidden gems in Ventura County. Our facilities are beautiful. Come catch a game. It's kind of that true old school Friday night feel where the stands are packed. We only have one side for stands. It's just a great community, and I'm so blessed to be a part of it. And I'm gonna hopefully, when it's all said and done, be probably the longest tenured coach in Ventura County history. And I hope it's all at Oak Park.
I can say honestly that I hope that too, brother. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've been Ryan from Cannon Sports. Thanks again to Casey Webb, head coach at Oak Park High School. If you guys want to check us out, Instagram @Cannon Sports, TikTok @Cannon Sports Official. Keep an eye out on YouTube and cannonsports.com for all of your sporting goods needs. Thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.